Today I wanted to catch up on how things have been going in my journals and planners since the start of 2025. I have 4 books in front of me. I've got my main everyday carry or EDC, which is my main planner, and I have my health and wellness tracker, but I'm thinking about rebranding it as a self-care book. And then I've got my meal planner, and then finally I've got my journal and my sort of memory keeping book. So we're just going to go through these casually, depending on how things go. I might also set up some things for next week. Hopefully you don't mind this kind of casual style, and I'm also going to challenge myself to lean into all of my pauses and ums and ahs and restarts of my sentences just so that I can make the editing process a little less daunting for me, because lately I just haven't had as much time to really dedicate to creating YouTube videos, and it is really important for me to show up and connect with you, and I'm hoping that if I can make some tweaks to my video production process, I can be here a little more frequently, even if it means, less polished videos. So I hope you don't mind. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of this kind of style, and hopefully you can keep this video, or you can use this video to keep you company while you do your journaling or your planning, or just have it in the background while you're getting some other work done. Before I get started, I always really like to set the tone of the video or set the stage by having some tea or something to drink, just to kind of, I guess set the stage. So grab yourself something warm and cozy to drink. So I've got a winter edition chocolatey peppermint herbal tea. I get a box of these every winter. It's just a local tea that one of my local Canadian grocery stores carries in the wintertime, so I really like it. And I'm also, as my little snack, and I encourage you to grab a snack as well, I wanted to share these egg rolls. This comes in a tin of individually packed egg rolls. They honestly taste like waffle cones to me, is the best way that I can describe them. There's this style, which is more like the waffle cone kind of wafer, and then there's a really crumbly version that I love as well. So I'll just show you. Oops. So this is what the egg roll looks like. And like I said, it just tastes like a waffle cone to me. So I like to snack on these with my tea or my coffee, which I'm gonna do right now. Okay, so I think we'll dive into, I don't know, where do I start? Let's go into the everyday carry, because this is probably my most important every single day I'm using book. I mean, honestly, these are the 2 books that I'm really reaching for every day. In an ideal world, I'm also reaching for this every day to do my journaling, but lately I haven't been able to keep up with journaling as much, which is making me appreciate the fact that I didn't commit to a 1 day a page journaling, because I don't have the capacity to do that every day. And so we can talk about this in a bit. But anyway, let's get started with these. So my everyday carry is housed in this A6 leather portfolio from Wonder Pens. It came in the natural leather, and I'm loving how this is starting to patina. So as a comparison, this is the Superior Labor light brown, and you can see it's actually starting to turn dark brown in some spots because I've had this for a lot longer. And because I actually prefer this light brown, I'm hoping that this will eventually patina to look like what this looked like. I love this size because I can fit this in my purse really easily when I'm leaving the house. And inside I've got my A6 Original in a Midori A6 clear cover. And there's an extra pocket on the inside, which is where I keep my weekly supplement. And then I love that I can also fit my Decimo pen. So this is thinner than the capless, so it actually fits in really nicely in the pocket here. And just in the front pockets, I have my I have one of my sticker release books, and then in here I have a bunch of transfer stickers that I haven't really purchased transfer stickers in quite some time, so these have been, I've had these for a while. These are some of the Traveler's Notebook ones, but I like them because I generally like to keep these books pretty lean, just so that they don't get too heavy when I'm, as the year goes on. Okay, so let me just put that aside. This Decimo, I've actually kept the sticker on. I'm not sure why, but I normally take these off, but for some reason, I don't know, I haven't done that yet. This is an EF nib in 18 karat gold, and I've currently got it inked with Diatramentis Document Brown. I like having a few pens inked with permanent ink so that I can write with them, highlight over them, and not worry about information getting lost if my pages got wet. So this is going really well. I'll show you shortly. It's a very realistic look at how I use these things. They're very, very minimally decorated, and the busier I get, the less I put effort into how it looks, I guess. I know last year something I did a lot with my weekly supplement was I would sit down at the end of the week after the week was done, and I would add stickers and kind of decorate my weekly spreads. Let me see if I can find an example. Yeah, so this is kind of an example of how it looked last year, where I had a lot more fun at the end of the week kind of putting stickers on, and fully intended to do that with this one, but just haven't had a lot of time, so this is a very realistic look. Okay, so this is the start of the week. Obviously I had a little more time here, so you can see that it is decorated a lot more. Still going. And how I like to use this is I renumber the numbers on the side, and I've actually already prepped the space here, so now I use a white Posca marker, and I kind of white out all of the original timeline, and then I renumber it starting at 8 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. just because those are the hours that I typically work. And doing it this way allows me to have 2 squares per hour, so it's a lot easier to account for like half an hour meetings or meetings that start say at 12:30 instead of 12. So this works out really well for me. And what I typically do is I color code different things that I do. So I have multiple income sources, and each color kind of represents like a different type. Sometimes I add in a couple of extra like words with one of my mild liners, and I just do that to kind of remind me of things that are going on during the week, because I typically actually use this to help me with some of my memory keeping, for example, like in my 5-year journal. So yeah, a couple of really fun things. We got a new couch at the beginning of February. Our old couch was about 7 years old, and no matter how many times we cleaned it, I was having a lot of allergy issues with it, and it also, a piece of it broke and it ruined our floors. So it was time for that couch to go, and we ended up coming across a sale and we just went for it. So we got a new couch, which was very exciting. The last few weeks have been quite busy. Therefore, you will see lots of meetings, lots of things, but almost no decoration. And this was the past week. It's really the same thing. And after this video, it's just going to be the same thing. Basically, what I'm going to do is check my calendar. So I will color code the different meetings depending on the project or the thing that I'm working on. And this is still like one of my most important aspects of my system. I keep this open on my desk. I have my laptop just over to the side here, and it's on a platform. So I actually just put this open on my laptop, and that allows me to always see what is going on during the week and not have to rely on notifications when I have meetings, because in the past I have relied on electronic notifications when I have meetings, and sometimes those notifications don't come through, and I have been known to completely miss meetings. So I find it really helpful to just have my meetings open in front of me so I can stare at them all the time. I used to have like a web browser open, which I would always glance at, but I just find this easier because I don't know about you, but I always have a million email browser tabs, or sorry, I have a million like internet browser tabs open all the time when I'm working. So I just like to have this paper reference, and it has saved me from missing meetings, and it allows me to kind of think about how much time I have to dedicate to a task I want to do. If I, for example, know I have a meeting coming up, because I find meetings in general can be really disruptive for my focus time. And if I have too many meetings dotted out throughout the day, I've just learned that it's best to choose tasks that don't require deep concentration in between meetings. So if I see that I have an hour gap in between meetings, for example, I might use that time to respond to emails or catch up on like Slack messages, maybe do a little bit of planning for later on. And then when I see that I have maybe a 3 or 4 hour gap, that's when I'll plan tasks that I know I need a little more like energy, or that are going to take a lot more of my sort of energy or brain space, if that makes sense. So I find just having this and being able to glance at it is really, really helpful. So next week, what I might do, I might as well do some of this now, just so you can see how I set it up. So sometimes I go ahead and I set this up a few weeks in advance, but I didn't do that this time. So this is my Platinum 3776 in a soft fine, and it is permanently inked with Platinum Carbon Black, because I like, as you can see, sometimes I like to highlight. Yeah, as you can see, sometimes I like to color over these things, and I just find it helpful to have like a permanent pen. And I used to have my Pilot Vanishing Point inked with my Platinum Carbon Black, but I was having all these issues with like clogging and hard starts. Even if I was using it every day, I got really frustrated, and that's what led me to buying a pen with like a proper seal. And so that's been working out really well for me. Okay, so I usually, like you can see, I've already erased the old timeline, and I'll just fill in the times of the day. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this side as well. Okay, and then I also add the days of the week at the top, and I'm gonna grab my little, this is just a piece of, what do you call it? It's not blotting paper, but it's like index card paper. Something I wanted with this soft fine was to be able to have some line variation when I wanted it. So that's what I use this for. And this isn't like a flex pen, but it does have a lot more bounce. So it's, I think they call it like a semi-flex, which I like. I'm always a little afraid to put too much pressure on it though, because I've read so many warnings about how these aren't flex pens, so don't abuse the bounce or the flex. So I don't know. I'm always not sure. But I've really enjoyed this pen, and when I do like longer study sessions, I have other notebooks that I use for taking notes when I'm doing like study around topics like ADHD, that kind of thing. And I like to use this pen because it's comfortable for long writing sessions, and it's also permanent ink, so I don't have to worry about those notes getting ruined, and I can also highlight over them. So this is like one of my all-time favorite inks, even though it's a little boring, but I use it every single day. Okay, so that is setting up my week in my weekly supplement. Sometimes I use the bottom space if I work late, which happens sometimes because I'm in Toronto Eastern time, but I work with a lot of folks that are in Pacific Standard Time, so sometimes my schedule goes into the evening. Down here, I usually write things in advance, like if I have a doctor's appointment coming up or anything that's just far in the future. I don't use my monthly calendar for that because I just don't go to my monthly calendar enough. I haven't created that habit to check my monthly calendar. So, but I do check this all the time. So I find if it's in here, I'm more likely to remember upcoming dates and plan my week accordingly. So what I'll do now is I'm going to open up my calendar, my digital calendar, just to clarify. And I check, I'll add in all of the meetings that I know that I have coming up. So, I'll just do some of that really quickly on camera, and then I'm going to do the rest and fill in what these meetings are for off camera, just to preserve confidentiality. Yeah, so this is all that I do. It doesn't take too long. I've tried to do this in my live streams before, and it takes a lot longer because I'm talking and I'm kind of distracted, but if I'm really focused, this is a pretty, it just takes a couple minutes, and it really gets me in the headspace for what to expect in the coming week. So I usually do this on Sunday night as a way to kind of get myself in the mindset for the upcoming week. And then, yeah, sometimes I also do a little bit of this on Fridays, but mostly I do this on Sunday night. And if you're someone who gets very anxious about Mondays, like if you have the Sunday scaries, I've done a video on that before as well. It's something that I'm very well acquainted with. Depending on who you are and how you work through your anxiety, I'm someone who likes to, my anxiety is related with the unknown or the ambiguity. And so things like this put my mind at ease. And instead of on Sunday thinking, oh no, like the week's coming up and feeling really anxious about it, something that I find helpful for me personally is just taking a look at my calendar and starting to visualize what my week is going to look like. So just the act of kind of laying out some of my meetings and, giving myself a sense of like, when am I going to have chunks of time where I can do focus work? When am I going to be prepping for my meetings? All of that stuff. I find this has been really helpful for me. Okay. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for the weekly supplement. So this is my daily planner. I've talked about how I use this on my channel in the past, so I'll try to go through this really quickly. But basically, I use the monthlies just to kind of document ink things. These are a bunch of samples I got recently, and I have a few more samples to update, so nothing too special here. Just because I don't really use the monthly for upcoming future events, I use my weekly supplement for that. And then my dailies have been going really well. They're pretty boring, but this is very realistic, and it's really been helping me. So I started off January with a curly inked. I had a few blank pages because I wasn't really, I don't know if you remember, but I was kind of struggling to move into the mindset of 2025. So I did end up going back and filling up these pages with different markers just to test how they perform. And I find my mild liners seem to be doing really well with this paper, so that's good. And then we move into my dailies. So when I have time, I do add a sticker here and there and I decorate, but when I don't have time, it's all functional. I always start by putting my meetings up at the top here. Yes, the information is duplicated from my weekly supplement, but the ritual of taking the time to look at my weekly supplement, double checking my digital calendar for more recent changes, and then writing out what I have over here just is like one more opportunity for me to make sure that I have a sense of what my day is going to look like. Just because like time blindness is a real problem for me. And so this is just one of the ways that I've created an accommodation for myself. And then I usually just make a big to-do list. Sometimes when I have blank spaces, I'll come back and I'll do like little call-out boxes of whatever I feel like. Oftentimes it's ink thoughts. So in this example, I had a sample of this really beautiful Rays of Lights ink that I was really excited to ink into a pen. So I inked it up into my Pilot Vanishing Point medium because I really wanted to see what the ink would look like with a broader line. And usually I'll just jot down some ink thoughts. I've already kind of covered up a lot of these areas because I've been having a lot of medical related appointments or just general like short meetings that I've needed to take a lot of notes on. And that's why I love this book so much, because it's not always stuff that needs to be in my health and wellness or self-care book, but it's stuff that, like, if I'm on a call with someone and I need to take a note, I can do it in here. And I haven't run out of space yet. It's not a lot of space, but it's worked out so well. So as an example here, this is a conversation that I had with a drug company related to some of my eczema stuff. So I just had to kind of take a lot of notes because there's a lot to absorb. And then I think I actually spilled over onto this page because there was like so much to jot down. So I actually really appreciated having these 2 pages. And then, yeah, actually this is more notes. So this is a good example of like, even if I have a lot of note taking to take, I'm able to kind of use pages around if I need to. And it's all around the same date. So I just find it helpful for me because if I'm going back and trying to look into something, I know it's all in here. And then, yeah, more notes. I think this was just some other notes related to like having to set up blood work, that kind of thing. Boring for most people, but important for me to remember. And then on the weekends, I don't usually work, so I usually have a little more fun on these pages. On this day, I swatched out some of the ink samples that I recently received from Leanne Likes. This isn't a page where I was on the phone with our pet insurance and I was just getting quotes on how much our pet insurance was costing. And how they were determining that. So again, this is something that I find really helpful, not really something that I would need to track in like any other book, but I like having this information here so I can refer back to it in the future. So I've covered up anything that I really don't think I would want online. This is a turkey chili recipe that my sister gave to me when I was at her house the other day, so I needed a quick place to kind of write down how she makes her turkey chili, so I just jotted it down here. And then in preparation for NaCoWriMo, I was looking up letter mail rates just to make sure that I knew how much it costs to mail letters within Canada, to the US, and then internationally. And another currently inked. This was, I think this was from a video that I did. Oh yeah, this was when I did my last shopping day in Tokyo. I showed some of the things that I got. Yeah, so it just kind of continues on here. Oh, a little hello from a Pilot Parallel pen that I got recently. This was very influenced by Simona from Simone. I was just really excited to get it, and it was really fun to play with, and I put one of my shimmer inks in it, and I don't know if you can see it, but I think this is Diamine Caramel Apple. This was a new ink I got recently, and I accidentally put way too much ink here, so you can see it completely bled through, but it's a gorgeous brown. Tiffany from Talksmon and I met recently, and we did an ink exchange, some information on a couch we bought. I can't remember what I covered up here, but it was probably some sensitive information related to my health stuff. Just some work notes. This was some notes from our vet appointment with Coconut, so just taking some notes down while we were actually in the vet appointment. And then just playing with some of Tiffany's pens when we got together, so that was really fun. We went to Wonder Pen, so I got a little stamp, and we had a lot of fun with the stamps that were at Wonder Pens. And then just more notes. So nothing too crazy. Yeah, just meetings, to-dos, and any kind of notes that I needed to take. And you can see it starts to get really sparse because, yeah, I guess it's been really busy. So yeah, that is what this looks like. So it's not super full by any means, it's not decorated, but it's so functional. I've got lots of information here that I need to reference. I know it's here, and I love this setup. Sometimes I get tempted by the cousin again because I do like that there's more space for taking notes, and I wasn't going to talk about it much in here because there's really not a lot I can show without having to cover everything up, but this is still going strong. I use this for long form meeting notes. So the difference is, like, if I'm having a quick call with, say, an insurance company and I need to take notes, this is like where I'm taking the notes. But if I'm in a work meeting and I need to take notes for a project I'm working on, I'm mostly using this, unless it gets to be too much, then I'm using a supplementary notebook. So, like, for example, a recent project I've been working on, I've been taking so many notes that I had to start using future pages of dates that I hadn't happened yet. And so I ended up transferring all those notes into a separate notebook that I'm referring to. So that's basically how the cousin is working. So this is my health and wellness tracker, or my self-care book. I've currently got it in a clear cover, and this is just an elastic that came with some smart wool socks that I got recently. You can see I have matching on both books, and I actually think it matches these two really nicely. I've currently been dedicating one ink and pen for the entire month. So in January, I had my other Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and that was inked with Teranishi Innocent Mauve. And this month, I have my Sailor Pro Gear Slim in a fine nib, and this is using Sailor Kingdom Note Grape Dyed Cloak, which was an ink sample that I got from Leanne Likes. And I don't think I've mentioned it in my videos yet. I've mentioned it on my live stream, but this year so far, unless I get tired of my own idea, I'm dedicating each month to a different purple ink because I have so many purple ink samples, and I ended 2024 with so many that I was excited to try. And because this is a purple book, and I don't know, it just seemed like the right place to do it in, I've decided to just lean into it and dedicate a different purple. So, so in January it was Teranishi Innocent Mauve, and then February it was Grape Dyed Cloak, and then for March, I think I'm going to go with one of my lighter purple inks. I haven't picked it yet, but I do have all my purple ink samples set aside, and I'm excited to pick whatever it is. Something I've already learned from this month is, I think with this new paper that everyone's having issues with, even a fine nib is maybe a little bit too broad in some situations. So I think my original idea of sticking with only extra fine nibs in this book was correct. So I'm gonna go back to my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Extra Fine, or I have a Pilot Decimo with an EF nib, and I'm just gonna probably alternate between those two for the rest of the year, just to try to minimize like the bleed through. Okay, so this is going pretty well. I'm using the yearly index as a step tracker, and then I've added some color coding for days that I've done additional exercise. So brown is for runs, and green is for like strength workouts or yoga. In the calendar, I'm using this more as like a social calendar, so I'm just writing down people that I've connected with and what we did, and then just a couple of other notable things. Like in January, I experimented with live streams, and they were really fun. It was a really nice way to connect with you all kind of in real time. So I'm gonna see if it's something I can integrate back into my schedule. And then I'm just kind of not doing too much decorating, but trying to add a little bit, because this book is not really decorated in general. So I'm just trying to add some stickers. And then going into the monthlies, most of these were just kind of like practice ones to test out the ink, but I started this book officially in December. So here I tried to add some stickers after I was finished in the blank spaces, and I was trying to go with like a purple sticker theme and really just like go lean in hard into the purple, purple stickers, purple pen inks, but we'll see how that goes. This has been going really well. So on the left side, I've got the weather. I track my meals. any kind of medications I'm taking, I kind of track it here. Sometimes I track some of it here. I have a little notes section on the left side of the right hand page. And then I've kind of got a few different sections that haven't really changed much since the year started. So I've got habits that I'm tracking, or, supplements or things like that I'm trying to do on a daily basis. Those are my habits. And then I'm tracking some other things like my water intake, caffeine, alcohol, and then mood, anxiety, energy, sleep, and whether I've had any sleep interruptions. So I was struggling a lot with insomnia and waking up a lot in the middle of the night, and I just wanted to track that as I tried to work through that. And then I also have a section for my skin just to track how that's going, because that is the primary focus for me of 2025, is healing all of my skin issues, or at least trying to. And then I have a little section here for additional notes if I need to add anything in that doesn't fit in the notes pages. So this has been going really well. Not too hard to keep up with. Occasionally I have a couple of days to catch up with, but I usually never go more than a day without updating this. Something that I have changed about the weather is Katie from Katie's Craft Studio mentioned in one of my live streams that she's been tracking the sunrise and sunset. And I love that idea because it's nice to see that the days are actually getting longer, since this time of the year in the part of the world that I live in can be challenging because the sun goes down so early, and the days are shorter. So even in the short time that I've been tracking that, in January, mid-January, the sun was rising at 7:48 and setting at 5:04, and it's very slight. It's like 1 minute or a couple of minutes every day, but now we're in February and the sun rose at 7:15, so almost like a half an hour difference, and it's setting at 5:45. So I just thank you, Katie, for that idea. I'm so glad that I integrated that in. I had a little trouble figuring out how I wanted this to look, so I tweaked my layout a little bit, and now I do sunrise, sunset, temperature high, temperature average. I still draw the weather, and then everything else is the same. So that's one little tweak I made on this page, and I'm really enjoying it. I found a website that just tracks that for me, so even if I fall behind and I need to catch up, it's all, there's historical data that helps me, and so I find as long as there's a place where I can go back to, then the pressure of keeping up with it every single day is removed. And I really love that about the things that I'm tracking. Like sleep, I've got a record of that because I've been using my watch to track that while I sleep. My steps get tracked in my my health app. And I also have a website that shows historical data for temperature. So that is the one thing that I have found has kept me able to keep this up to date. Obviously with meals, I do have to be kind of on top of it because my memory sucks, and if I don't track it on a daily basis, I've pretty much forgotten what I've eaten. But when it comes to some of this other data, it's all here, and that just kind of makes it more approachable for me. So that's kind of how my dailies have been going, or my weekly. Not the most exciting, but super functional. And I have had a few doctor's appointments where they've asked me all the questions that I anticipated, and I have brought this with me to appointments, and it has been so helpful to be able to answer questions like, how's your sleep going? Or when did your skin start to do X? Or when did you notice Y? It's all here, and that's exactly what I wanted this to be for. So maybe I could find a way to integrate this into my daily carry, and I don't have 2 books to track, but this book is just, I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. But obviously, if you don't struggle with a lot of chronic health issues or you don't have a lot of doctor's appointments like I seem to have had in the last couple of years, then I could imagine this would feel like a burden. So I think it just depends on what stage you are in life. And maybe 10 years ago, I would have never seen the value in this. But now, where I'm at in life, this is probably one of my most important books. So I'm glad that I found a way to track all of this. And I know it looks like a lot, but it really doesn't feel that way for me. So in the back, I've got kind of my recaps. I've already kind of filled out January, and then February is going to look the same. What else? I've been tracking my anxiety at a year at a glance. I've also got my sleep and my skin issues, and this is also a very important dashboard because the way I've set this up is I use my weekly pages as my data points that I track on these, and I just decided for me that these are the 3 issues I really wanted to keep track of. So up here I really wanted like a yearly glance, and these dots kind of represent like things I really want to pay attention to versus no attention needed. So I need to actually move this legend over here. But on a sticky note, you'll see like if I'm getting less than 4 hours of sleep, it's a big dark circle because I consider that an issue that needs attention. If I'm getting 5 or 6, then it's like maybe monitor it, but it's not so bad. And then if I'm getting more than 7 hours of sleep, for me, that's really good. Obviously, I would love to get more sleep, but if I'm getting more than 7, then I'm doing really, really well. So I can already see at a glance what days I'm really struggling, and eventually when I get around to filling out this chart here, I want this to represent some kind of comparison between energy, mood, and anxiety, so that I can kind of see like maybe in this area I was really struggling with sleep. What did it look like? Well, okay, over here, if this is going to be by the month, I'm not going to get that granularity, but hopefully I can see over here, like, let's say January, I had a lot of really bad, I had really low energy. Then I can look here and I can say, well, look how many days I didn't get more than 4 hours of sleep. So that's kind of the idea. And then the squares represent events that might have influence, like that are notable. So January 1st, I started taking some melatonin to see if that would help with my insomnia because I had been struggling with it for months. And I wanted to note down when I started it. And then I also noted down on the 17th when I started a new type of cream to see if that helped with my skin issues. Same thing here. I think some of this notable events could be a little bit repetitive, but I wanted to have it here for each of these dashboards. And then the one that I'm really updating the most is my skin issues. So all the events are related to like when I've tried different creams or different medications. And I also write down what they are. And again, this has been really helpful. Like I went to an allergy appointment recently and the allergist said, what exactly have you tried? And I was able to pull this out and tell her exactly what I tried. And she did want to know the specific names. So this, again, I can't say enough good things about it. And down here, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do, but I'm leaning towards, I was going to do averages, but Katie from Katie's Craft Studio shared a lot of really good thoughts that kind of got me thinking a little harder about what I want to do here. And I'm thinking I might try to do something like frequency. So maybe if I have, you can see like in January, I had a lot of like flare-ups, like really high attention. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so I had 16. I only have this scale up to 10, so I can't necessarily do like, 16, but maybe it's something like 10 plus, and that way I'll know like, okay, January was a really high month, but maybe as the year goes on, I'll have less flare-ups and you can see the trend going down. That's what I want. I want to see the trend going down of the major issues. Even here, like I had a lot of bad sleep days in January, but I haven't had nearly as many in February so far. So it would be really motivating to see like, okay, in January, really big issues, but it goes down. So that's kind of where my head is at for what I want to display here. Just haven't done it yet. I also have a friend log where I'm just noting down people that I see in person, noting down books I've read, and I think I'm gonna actually try to start. I saw someone doing this. I think it was journaling with Mandy. I'll add the name in the video and in my description, but I saw another creator printing out covers of the books, and I thought it looked really cool to just have like a visual representation of the books that they've read. So I think I'm going to do something like that for this year, and I'm going to do something similar for movies and things like that, hopefully. But that's kind of what I'm thinking over here. And then in the back, I've actually been using this so much that I'm a little worried I'm going to run out of pages, but I've been noting down like key decisions that are made in doctor's appointments, noting down like medications that I'm taking and ingredients in different things that I'm trying, because I want to be a little more aware of what I'm using, since I react so strongly to anything that I'm really anything that I'm using on my skin. So that's my health book. If you have any questions, let me know. This is my meal planner. It looks very sparse, but it does get used every couple of weeks. I don't currently have anything going on the annual tracker. Not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. My monthly, I'm just tracking our grocery spend. January was a bit of a abnormal month because we were sick for a little while, so we were making a couple of like unplanned trips to the grocery store for additional supplies. We also did like our meat shop, which we usually do like once every few months, separate to our regular grocery trips. So January was kind of an expensive month, but we got a lot of like supplies, like Costco. We got a lot of like non-grocery items like toilet paper and things like that. So anyway, that's what I do with the monthlies. And then in the weeklies, I have been pretty much using it the way I did last year, with a slight change that I've added chores onto here. So on the left side, I've got events just to keep me aware of anything that might impact the cooking schedule when I'm sitting down to plan. Here I write down the tentative meal plan. Here I have what we already have to work with, so we don't go out and buy doubles of things. Usually usually this is about protein that we have in our freezer. Meal ideas, I fill this out in advance. In case I'm craving something, this is kind of a place where I can write it down. So when I do sit down to meal plan, I have like a starting place. And then I've also started to put chores in here. So we've been trying harder to be more on top of cleaning, because I do have a pretty severe dust allergy, and we've just been making little tweaks in our home, like removing the rug in our bedroom and just vacuuming everything more frequently, to see if that helps. And I think it has been helping, because I've been getting less hives. So I got this format from Lindsay Scribbles, so I didn't come up with it on my own. But basically, I just have chores, and I write down the days of the week. I write down the things we do, either preemptively if I'm planning on it, or reactively when it happens. And then I just note down the day that it happens. And then it just kind of continues on. So, in addition to chores, sometimes we have things that we want to do around our home. Like we want to add some shelves to our bedroom closet. Hasn't happened yet, but these are the things that we need to do to make that happen. And while this hasn't happened yet, which is why it's blank, I'll just move this to whatever week we eventually do that. And then again, it's just meal planning, shopping list. Oh, I also plan on a 2-week basis. So I plan 2 weeks in advance, and I use the notes pages for the first week for meal ideas and what we have, and then the second week is the shopping list. And yeah, that's how I've been using it. And I've been adding some stickers from fruits that we've gotten. I got this idea from Chris from Terrible Hime. She mentioned saving her stickers, and I thought it was a fun idea. So I've just been, when I remember to do it, I'm slapping on stickers onto these pages. And you can see we didn't do many chores this week, which is embarrassing to admit, but we did get this done. Oh, I didn't do coffee filters yet, but we did do house plants, and we did do some vacuuming. I'll fill that out later. As for the pen, I've been keeping the Hobonichi Techo, I think this is called the Uni Jetstream. Just because when I take this with me when I actually go to the grocery store, and this is a lot easier to use when I'm out. When I'm planning, I'll use my fountain pens. This upcoming week is going to be really busy. I'm going to be working a lot into the evenings. So instead of planning to cook and potentially setting ourselves up for failure, we are just going to do like a freezer takeout kind of week. So we have a bunch of meal leftovers that we've frozen in our freezer, and we save them for exactly a week like this, where I'm not going to plan on doing any cooking. We're just going to eat through what we have in our freezer, and then at the end of the week, we'll probably just get takeout to supplement if we run out of food. And we don't do this all the time, but sometimes it's necessary, and this is one of those weeks where it's necessary. So that's what this week is going to look like, and then we might have time this week to pick up cooking again, so I'll plan for that. And there's a couple of things I've been craving, like cottage cheese, so I just put these here when I think of it, so that by the time we sit down to do the shopping list, we remember to grab some of those things as well. And then in the back of the notes pages, because this is a week's mega, I decided to put TV shows watched and movies watched in this book instead of this book, because these are things that we typically watch together. And I also wanted to attempt to do a little bit of movie reviews, because this is the third year that I've tracked all the movies that we've watched, so I'm in the habit of that, and I quite like being able to look back to see what we've consumed. But I used to just track the name of the movie and the date we watched it, and I'm finding that I have like no recollection of what it is. So something I'm hoping to do is to add like a photo of the movie just to jog my memory, and then here just write down a few things about it. Nothing too crazy, because if I were to commit to doing like full reviews, I will never keep up with this. I know myself, I'll get overwhelmed and then I won't keep up. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of like new information that I need to do. It's mostly like stuff I can get off IMDb, and then adding just a couple of notes as necessary. This layout was heavily inspired by Himawari Stationery. She posted a video quite some time ago where she showed how she was doing her movie reviews. I loved the way she set it up, and I think this is like almost exactly what she did. So I think the difference was she drew her movie poster, which I think is a great idea, but just to save myself time, I think I will try to print them. So that's something that I'll do later. And then, so I left quite a bit of room here because we do watch a lot of movies throughout the year. And then over here, I've just been copying out our grocery lists. And I do find that I'm constantly referencing my previous lists to see like what we bought, but also like how much things are changing in price, because there have been some subtle changes. There are some items that we've learned over time is better to buy at one place over another. So I personally find this to be really helpful for me to just keep an eye on how, grocery prices are going, and also just like what we're spending on and where we're going. So I find a lot of value in this. I also copy down recipes as well. So this is a recipe that we've already made a couple of times and I've referenced it. So I copy down the original recipe and then I add my own notes on, things that I've changed. And then more grocery lists. And I've left quite a lot of space. I don't think I'm going to fill all of this up, but we'll see. If I'm doing recipes and grocery lists, then maybe. Got a little pen test, and then here I've just got my favorite recipes. So I always like to have a reference sheet for when I'm meal planning. Sometimes the hardest thing for me is to like generate ideas, because we're not really the type to eat the same things every single day. I just personally need a little more variety since I get bored really easily. But I also don't like feeling like I have a blank slate, because that can make it overwhelming and almost too hard to get started. So I find having something like this as a reference is just really helpful for me, so that if I'm sitting down to do meal planning and I'm looking at what we've eaten and I'm not sure what else to make, this just reminds me of other meals that we've already tried and we know we like, and I can just easily pick something from this list. So that's what this my 100 pages, and then no idea what I'm going to do with this 365 days check off. So it's empty, and then in the back I just have some food related stickers that I like to add to my I like to add in here sometimes when I have a chance. So that is the meal planning. Okay, we are really pushing how long this video is taking, so I think I'm gonna save this for another video. In summary, this is going really well. Use it every day. This is going really well. Actually, this is going really well. And then maybe the only thing that's not getting updated as frequently is my memory keeper, but that's okay, because right now I need to function, and this is the most important thing. So I'm glad that these systems are working really well for me. And that is my quick catch up. Let me know how things are going for you. We are coming to, mid-February. We're almost 2 months into the year. I've seen some videos where people have had varying levels of success, and I hope wherever you are in your planning and journaling journey, I hope that you're feeling okay with everything. You're not being too hard on yourself in case things aren't working out as well as you had hoped. And it's never too late to make tweaks and make your system work better for you. So whatever system you're in, I'd love to hear more about it. And let's have a conversation in the comment section. If you're still here at the end of this very long video, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you soon in the next video.